Is your chair all right? I've swapped them because my back's hurting. Too loud.
Sorry, my fault. Remember, it's the wrong graphics. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first practice session for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix here at Silverstone. For one and only time this weekend, we are live on YouTube once again. Joining me in the commentary box for this session is Ian Birch and Megan Birch. Good afternoon, Dad. Good afternoon, Megan. First of all, we have to start with the protest that Renault did at the start of the season. They've done in every single Grand Prix going forward. It's now been official. Racing Point are found guilty. It's a shocker, but we sort of knew it was coming.
Yeah, we knew it was coming, but it's one of those things as to the regulations changed.
Yeah. And
that part that you see isolated if you're watching this on TV as well, which is the air intake for the brake ducts. It's the brake ducts, and they apparently have copied Mercedes brake ducts.
Absolutely copied it, yeah.
Is the ruling. Now, Otmar, in the last few minutes, has said that he's surprised at the ruling. He didn't even realise that it's 7.5 points per car. And as I said in the last thing, you know, they're not owned by someone that's hard up now. This will go all the way up to the FIA in Paris.
This is going to go for a long time. This is only the beginning.
They're not going to go back on this. But the main thing he was pleased at is that the stewards gave them an A-OK for the rest of the car.
Yeah, they can use it now for the rest of the weekend. As the green light goes on and the first practice session begins here for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Now, we've got a lot to get through in 90 minutes with this being our only live stream this weekend. We're back to our traditional roots of Practice 1 Live and then our review programs as we go on. After last weekend, where we had a pretty successful live stream, don't you think, Megan? It was pretty successful last week.
Yeah, I do think it's quite successful, yeah.
Dad, we did it quite well. What was it? 7 sessions, 7 lives, 10 programs in total. It was exhausting to get it done, but we managed to do it.
Well, with me, everything's exhausting, so it's I was more tired than I normally am.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I did some of the things, but that's because I am not well.
You both only missed 1 session, I think, going through last weekend.
I just like being with you two and doing things with you two. That's the thing, isn't it?
It's fun to have you, because otherwise it's a bit just dull with me and Megan talking for the next 40 odd minutes.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. I heard that particular one.
Megan's got a new device in the commentary box this weekend with the mouse.
Yes, they've been guilty.
Well, everybody's got a mouse.
Just heard some commentary over there.
Ours is actually running down out under the TV.
Megan's got a new mouse in the commentary box, so she's able to cross-reference several parts of data. And this is new. The curbing at the exit of Brooklands going forward as well. As if you can just understand, if we saw last weekend going forward, the exit curb at the Beckett's complex into Chapel was causing a lot of problems last weekend and causing a lot of dust that we saw during the Grand Prix. The curb's now been extended back how it was last year. So hopefully we shouldn't see any of that curb issue we saw at the beginning of last weekend.
Oh, we had a curb issue on Formula 3 this morning, didn't we?
Yes. I didn't see that bit, no.
No.
I was in a commentary.
Well, yeah, it's David Schumacher, and the commentators completely missed the fact that...
Did he almost take off?
Well, yeah, but before that, about 5 laps before that in the practice session, something threw off his car on the main straight. And then all of a sudden he went over, which is a mediocre curve.
Yeah.
And he flew up in the air about 1.5 foot. And you could see clearly that his left-hand suspension was going up and down. So some kind of rod must have come off that car before it actually happened. So I don't think it was to do with anything to do with the track this time. I think it was just he sheared a bolt on something and it come loose.
Interesting. Right, we must go through this step by step to get it right. We've got several things to talk to you about this morning in the first session.
Stewart's decision, mate. It's over there.
Yeah.
What, have you read it yet?
I don't think that Racing Point are guilty.
Well,
for the chasing.
I've just heard it.
I did tell you.
Otmar hasn't read it properly.
It.
I've seen Otmar behind the vans with three or four others going through it, and there's a fine of $200,000 or euros.
Yeah.
Euros?
Dollars. It is. Yeah.
No, actually euro.
Oh, it is euro. You're right. Yeah.
€200,000 fine for both cars, and a withdrawal.
You're right.
Where's the team based?
Silverstone. It's about 60 seconds that way.
Why are they pounds?
Hey, good point.
Yeah. Well, that's because the steward's decision. It's over. It's because of the race in Austria and the race in Hungary.
The two races that they protested at.
A withdrawal of 7.5 points per car, which is a total of 15 points, to be deducted from the competitors and the Racing Point Construction Championship points.
Not the drivers.
Otmar was very surprised when Simon Lazenby put this to Otmar. Otmar didn't realise that it was. He thought it was just 7.5 points, but they're not. You know, it's.
They're not going
Renault,
to do that.
Renault have got a win here, but they're going to be scrutinised by other people, including Racing Point, from now on. And I don't know. There's a team on that grid that hasn't really bent the rules or pushed the rules right to the limit. On everything. So where do we stop? I mean, we don't want this. This is a sport, right? We had it about 5 or 6 years ago with Ferrari and the Ferrari and was it McLaren?
McLaren, yes.
Battle.
It was the Spygate situation.
The Spygate situation. And that really turned a lot of people off Formula One because they thought they thought all the teams were cheating. Right? What the teams generally do is they spend a lot of money getting exactly to the limit of the law. And sometimes, like Ferrari did last year, they go overboard. The interesting thing is that this is not as bad as the engine thing that Ferrari were found guilty of. And yet Ferrari were not docked a single point. And yet there's 15 points here. I think
they've been lucky. Very, very
Otmar will bring things like that up at the appeal and say it's unjust. You see, you've got to be fair across the things. I mean, the FIA have been accused in the past of being the Ferrari
international assistance
thing, right? But I think that's because of the fact that Ferrari is so important to Formula One. But so are Racing Point. Racing Point are putting an enormous amount of money into Formula One.
They're becoming Aston Martin, a factory team as well. That's important.
And it's they're in danger here by upholding this. I mean, it's not a part that's going to give you an enormous gain.
It's the rear brake ducts.
No, the rear brake ducts were fine.
No, it's the other way around. Yeah, it's the front brake ducts that are fine. It's the rear brake ducts.
Well, can we have a look at that? Because
it's on here as well.
From what I understand, it's the front brake ducts.
Well, we'll go through it step by step here. So you've done a lot of talking for the now I've got to get through about 4 points of information. So on July the 12th, after the Styrian Grand Prix, that counted towards the 2020 FIA Formula One World Championship, Renault Sport filed protests against Car 11 and Car 18, entitled the BWT Racing Point Team. Renault claimed its protest that the Racing Point uses front and rear brake air ducts on its RP20 chassis. The Racing Point 20, that's what it is, the car, that are based on the near identical to the same brake ducts of the Mercedes W10 from last season used by the Mercedes team. With any potential differences being minor and the result of an evolution of identical original geometry, Renault therefore claimed that since the brake ducts are particularized in the table of listed parts, at the end of Appendix 6 of the World Sporting Regulations, which I did read pre-season twice, actually, because we had such a long off-season. They have sort of broke the rules there. It's slam dunk.
Well, the listed part thing, this was added to the listed parts. And actually, Racing Point were one of those teams that agreed to this. A lot of the teams didn't want it becoming a listed part. And I believe Renault were against it.
Renault were against it, yeah. They did not want to have that as a listed part because they wanted to freelance it and create more identical parts. So yeah, it's they were against it completely.
If you want to even things up in Formula One, then the bigger teams that spend an awful lot of money on developing these things, right, have to share them with the other teams. I don't agree with it being a problem at all, right? Anything that improves the racing in Formula One should be allowed. I mean, after all, Ferrari supply half the parts to Haas.
Yeah.
And yet that's within the rules. So, and I personally agree with that because
it's giving another team a chance.
I mean, sometimes it goes wrong because they develop the wrong aero, like with Williams and their relationship with Mercedes. But we want closer racing, don't we, Meg?
Yeah.
I agree. We need closer
Meg's
racing.
not very talkative today. What's up, Meg?
Nothing.
Is it because it's hot?
Because unlike everyone else in this family, I don't feel hot right now.
No, you feel cool. And then we're in me and Darren in shorts and very thin, either t-shirts or t-shirts.
Actually, I've got my favourite t-shirt on.
The Silverstone one.
I just haven't been feeling heat.
No. Ice warrior, that's what you are.
Are you a reptile,
yesterday, you lot were all boiling, and I just asked, am I cold-blooded or something? Because
you are.
I just felt
that's just a different matter.
I felt a bit cold.
Megan, just a quick thing from you, going into this weekend. Right. You were very critical at the start of the season about the protest that Renault did to Racing Point. Do you feel that Racing Point have acted?
Just leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's last year's design, not this year's.
But
leave it.
Last year's Mercedes was the constructors' champion. Doesn't that give anything to this year, considering the regulations have basically stayed the same?
No, it just gives them a bit more of a chance. I think we should all have that.
Yeah, I agree. And if Renault think that this is going to make them closer to them in the, we don't know what was happening with the Racing Point last weekend. We do know that. Did you hear, Meg, that it was a bolt off the
Kvyat?
Was it the gearbox? No, off Hulk's car.
Oh yeah, it was a bolt on the gearbox.
It was a bolt on the gearbox that somehow got involved, got into the engine.
And that if it fired up, it would have just gone. So yeah, that would have kept it out. But
that's unusual. I've never heard of that before. Have you, Meg?
No,
not getting into the engine.
I've never heard of a bolt getting into the engine.
No, but it's possible.
It's very tricky now.
It's very tricky. If you threw it at it, it would fire up 6 times. It'd not go in.
Just quickly,
but it did that time, didn't it, Meg?
Just going back to what Megan said, is there a danger that Formula One will turn into a spec series like IndyCar, like Formula E, where the really development side of Formula One is in powertrains and
they
engines?
carry on like this,
that'd reduce it down to 3 teams, wouldn't it? Really, with everybody else taking those 3 parts from those 3 teams, and in that type case, you would lose the genius that is at every team. I mean, McLaren produced so many different things over the years that have aided the future and the cause of Formula One, including the actual memory thing that runs the entire lot.
The computer, they introduced that back in 1983. EGC.
EGC. Yeah. I know what it's on a normal car, but I was just
checking that. Yeah. Okay, going forward then.
It's an EC unit on a normal car.
Yeah.
In fact, my last car that I taxied in,
the Chevrolet,
Dan's car, the Chevrolet, right? He had 2 onboard computers, one to run the engine and one to run everything inside, and the one inside kept going wrong.
What's wrong with Verstappen's car?
Good point.
Great cars though. I really enjoyed the Chevrolet.
Verstappen's car is smoking from a place that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, brake ducts seem to be on fire. There's something underneath the front end on the front brake suspension, something
That's
smoking.
keeps
Is a
going wrong.
well, that's looks like
It looks
brake
like we've got
coolant.
a fire there.
Is it brake coolant or is it just a normal fire? That's very unusual. It's
I
happening.
don't think anything of a Formula 1 car coming out smoking
Normal.
is normal.
Good spot there, Megan. It's on the front, and Christian Horner not wearing his mask properly there. That's annoying.
Christian looks worried.
Christian is worried, yeah. But he's wearing the mask wrong. And he's just realised he's put it on. Normally now he's realised he's on telly. So that's cheeky. But yeah, there is something wrong with the fact that Max Verstappen's control electronics on the front brakes.
Yeah, for once.
Good spot.
Would pay attention.
Yeah, good spot. Just going quickly then, moving forward back to the Racing Point procedure, because there's a lot to get through. 14 pages of information that I've got to read through and deliver tonight on the review show as well. I think we're bringing Megan in for that one as well later on. I'm not sure. It's one of you two. We haven't discussed it yet. I'm not looking directly at the monitor, by the way. I'm looking at the auto key below. Document 53 of the Styrian Grand Prix required and ordered Racing Point seized. I can hear you. Document 53. So back in Styria, the FIA seized the cars of Racing Point to analyse between the two races, and they also seized the 2019 Mercedes in order to examine the brake discs more closely. And then we didn't hear any more of that. But after the Hungarian Grand Prix on July the 19th, Renault again protested both cars of Perez and Stroll. And then again, going forward, they locked down the cars of Racing Point and Force India, Racing Point and Mercedes.
Kimi Raikkonen on the track at the moment, one of the first out. And unfortunately for Kimi, his broken wing was what was blamed by a lot of the teams for all the punctures, although Pirelli say different.
He's gone off the track there, the exit of the loop into Aintree as well, so he's gone across the track. Yeah, Raikkonen's front wing damage as well was sort of a problem throughout the race as well. We'll get onto Pirelli's tyre things in just a few moments.
Oh, he's off again.
Yeah, that's his second off again. So Raikkonen's not
He's really not got the right downforce on that car, and
this is another
setup, is he?
Just runs wide.
Too wide.
Lawnmower racing, something that he likes to do in Britain. But
well, he's very good at lawnmower racing. He beat the others when they did it, and hovercraft racing.
So back to what it was. On July the 30th, Racing Point submitted a document with supporting annexes detailing its formal technical responses. August the 2nd, after the British Grand Prix, Renault only protested Lance Stroll's car because Hulkenberg's never took part in the race as well. But now, here's the interesting bit. The stewards locked down the order of the sporting regulations that he broke, which is Article 11.9.3, which is the copying and taking designs of other cars directly. So we move on forward now, and the hearing was on the 5th of August, which is Tuesday, and it was with all 5 protesters, Otmar Safnauer, Andrew Green, Oliver Rumsey, Andy Stevenson from Mercedes, Daniel Alexander, Tom Delamara, and a video conference call on behalf of Racing Point of Mako Bolowski. He was the technical director there. Kept going. Anthony Ryan and Andrew Ford, all in person. Cyril Beatball was there. Pat Fry, Alan Permain, and Chris Atkinson, all by video conference on behalf of Mercedes. Nicholas Tom Bass, who is the Mercedes technical, as well in person. Michael Mazzi, the race director. Pierre Ketta, he's his number 2, who is like Herbie Blash was. And then Alexander Simone Garcia, all by video conference call on the FIA as well going forward. And Simone Perkinson as well, who was the steward's secretary, all there as well. No objections were heard at the hearing, but the allegations of Renault, as I've already said, is that the car was too similar to last year's Mercedes, to put it bluntly. And if we scroll down quite a lot, Racing Point's argument in defense of this was that the 2020 Racing Point contained no definition of design that compared to the two cars. Racing Point approach to this was the apparent gap is to focus not exclusively on the aero starting point of visual aspect as well as the car, but rather the design work done. So basically, how much of the actual drawings were physically done by members of the Racing Point team.
What I want to know is this, right? The internal things of that brake duct, right?
Yeah.
Now, Ted, on one of his technical notebooks showed this in detail with the way the air goes.
He did, yeah.
Now, every team saw that, right? So, and I don't feel, do you, Meg, that they've done anything wrong, because the basic design, there's only a couple of ways those things can go.
I kind of want to sneeze.
Oh, you can meet Mike and do it.
Megan wants to sneeze right now. Megan wants to sneeze. She's trying to sneeze.
You know when I sneeze, the fuse.
Remember coronavirus? Thankfully, we're all in the same bubble.
Yeah, that's why we're not separated in the commentary box. And I'm not really taller than these two, by the way.
But do you think
I'm on a higher chair?
No.
Somebody's just texted me that saying,
no, he's on a higher plane than us, because he is His Royal Highness.
I have got another chair.
But you are tallest.
We are serfs, aren't we, Meg?
Reminder, we're not live this weekend for any of the further practice sessions qualifying of the race. We're back to our normal reading.
Don't you feel that this is starting a war that Formula One does not need at this moment? And, you know, this is a pointless exercise, because how will it ever end? Because you've started a war now where anybody wins or anybody has a good time, because Renault did really well at the last Grand Prix, right? So what will happen now? Will the teams that Renault beat start looking at the way the Renault car is set up? You know, it's ridiculous. Formula One did not need this, and my children do not like me ranting.
No, I loved it. That's why I kept quiet, because
it's just, I thought of a really funny thought. When you said a war with racing in Formula One, I just thought of every single team engineer with the spanners holding up in the air.
I kept quiet during that because
spanners and will battle.
I kept quiet through that.
Okay, hooray!
I kept quiet throughout that in case that we need to use that in the future going forward, because I think that's a great little bit of commentary.
Yeah, I just couldn't help that going through my head.
The Renault engineer, I throw my glove at you.
That's a bit. That sounded a bit Sacha Baron Cohen from Talladega Nights.
Sacha Baron Cohen, right?
If
you're abroad, it's Grimsby Boys, the film, all about our local football team, but she had to change the name of the football team.
Not true. None of it.
What isn't true?
All of it. Although we can't really say.
I thought the Grimsby Boys.
Of course it is.
A group of people from Grimsby died in World War 1 or 2.
That's a different.
That's the Grimsby Boys. Yeah, they were the World War II, the Grimsby Chums.
That was it, Chums.
Chums, yeah. Yeah, they were at the Battle of the Somme, wasn't it, or Passchendaele?
I think.
Ask your mother. She's the expert. She's an absolute expert on Formula One. Anyway,
you mean the World War?
Anyway. I'll tell you this.
Go on, back to what you were saying.
Right. Sacha Baron Cohen is a Grimsby Town fan.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, right, he's been at matches. Right? We've had a lot of famous people who like Grimsby Town.
Quite a lot.
Some of them, one of them was a chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah, we must get back onto the Formula One.
He got it onto it.
We must get back onto the Formula One topic here, just quickly.
He mentioned Sacha Baron Cohen.
Football.
I don't know. Oh, we've also got the lad from that's just left the Sky football program on a Saturday morning.
Has anyone else noticed that Hamilton's in the bottom?
Yeah, he hasn't set a lot of lap times, has he, today? Everyone's been a bit cautious because no one really needs to set lap times anymore because they've got all the data from last week. And the track temperature's hotter than it was last week, so no point going out.
And anybody in America, a famous TV chef in America, has just bought shares in the club as well.
Mm-hmm. Just getting back to the Racing Point argument, because we're only on page 5 of 14. We've got a lot to get through. And we need to talk about several other aspects. Surprisingly, the next topic on the list.
We're trying to lighten things up, Meg.
The next topic is actually a Racing Point subject, so we'll
get to the point then.
Yes, I will. So the FIA Technicals Department gave this ruling. Are you ready? Article 2.1 and 3.2 of the sporting regulations require teams to demonstrate upon demand that their cars are compliant with the sporting regulations. Therefore, in response to Renault's protest, Racing Point is required to demonstrate that the brake ducts used in the RP20 are compliant with these sporting regulations. And because the brake ducts and the large parts underneath the sporting regulations, Racing Point must show their designed was in 2020. However, it was then discovered by Mercedes. It was then discovered that Mercedes had given Racing Point drawings of their brake ducts for front and rear. So the stewards immediately went, hang on a minute, no, you can't do that. That's against the rules. That harks
Only because
back.
it's a listed thing.
No, but that harks back to the
Ferrari
Spygate, yeah,
What
where they store
engines
parts.
do
Oh, both on Mercedes, yeah. So it's not.
So
It's
all you
fine.
need to do.
Still does
Yes,
nothing.
but here's the thing. Even Haas have to design their own brake ducts because now it's a listed
So
part.
they could just modify it a bit and say, do you know what?
Now-
Now it's our own.
No, that's what I thought when I read it. But they have to be designed with the proof that it was 2020's design. Racing Point got the 2019 Mercedes brake
No,
duct
because
design.
you
Hang
can-
on 2 seconds. But then did 88 drawings of its own design. But throughout all of them, there was the concept that in their heads, they had the Mercedes brake duct in mind. And so it was basically just a copy from one to the other with a few changes.
And so are a
It's
million
fine.
other parts.
But it's illegal because the front brake ducts were changed a bit, the rears weren't. So the rear brake duct's not changed. That's the illegal bit.
I know this sounds strange, right? But you know the bolts on the Ferrari.
Yeah.
They're the same that hold the that Seb had problems with, that were holding the back plate that held his clutch and brake in place.
Mm.
You know, those bolts, right, are the same used by every team.
Yeah, that's a standard part. The wheels are also a standard part as well.
Yeah, but what I'm
No.
saying is a brake duct is brilliantly designed and copied by everybody. Even Renault's brake duct won't be that different
From McLaren.
from the last year's Mercedes,
Mm.
because Renault stole lots of things like every other team. They have photographers.
Mm.
Every team has photographers, and immediately there's a crash and a wheel comes off,
Always there. Always there.
taking loads and loads of photos. Right? That ruling should be chucked out when it's appealed in Paris,
Mm.
because that ruling can be applied to every
They're
thing.
just
And
pointing
it's
at
ju-
people.
So that's where that's where the autocue is.
I'm just pointing it out, right?
It's not. Oh,
Calm down,
sorry,
calm down.
2 seconds. Album on the radio just felt like the tyres were gone around turn 12 and 13. The engineer says understood as well. That is the Maggots Packets complex. That's not good at all.
Must be a person of few words.
Yeah, in fact, you. Just quickly then, for the
I've
front
never noticed that.
for the front brake duct analysis, it was quite interesting that the FIA understands that Racing Point used the CAD models of the Mercedes W10 front brake disc in late 2018, early 19 to develop this year's. However, here's the thing. Racing Point showed that they tried to design their own, but had to use some of the Mercedes to make their car work. And this little bit here, part 6 of this FIA investigation on the front brake ducts, it is fully acknowledged that the regulations are not black and white in this area, and therefore are open to interpretation. However, the predominance of evidence seems to suggest that the foregoing analysis is correct. The following analysis with respect to the rear brake ducts and its conclusion regarding the Racing Point design process in general seems to render the uncertainty about the status of the front brake ducts moot. So
That last bit
Yeah.
means that even if they lose the appeal in Paris, they can take it to the European Court of Arbitration for Sport, because of the fact that they are admitting in that section that
the front brake ducts legal.
there is a that they that
Oh, there
there
is something. Yeah, the loop in the hole.
there's a
regulation.
loophole.
Yeah.
right, and if there's a loophole, then you can't give them the thing.
So there's a loophole in the regulation for the front brake
the-
discs. Yeah. Go on.
The punishment cannot be given if there's a loophole. They have to be in black and white that they've broken the regulations, and they're admitting there that they didn't, because there is a loophole.
Yeah, but that is for the front brake discs. It's a different matter when we get to the rear
Well, I
brake
think
discs.
it's loopy, don't you?
Yeah. Here, okay, are you ready?
Yeah, the Snooker
Yeah.
World Championships on at the moment down
Yeah.
the road in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Right? And I used to love that.
Snooker's
We
nice.
used to go down the lanes, me and your mother. The lanes is an oldie worldy shopping thing that leads to the Crucible, right? And
I know that's
we used to always go to the Crucible and see all the crowds, and it's quite a nice thing, things, because it's a bit of excitement for the city.
Yeah.
Right. Like when they dug up the moor. The moor is it was a cobbled area back in the 1950s and before, and they did it over. But when they were about 30 years ago, they took it all off, and we were just going to John Cole's because we were going to buy because Viners, the people, were selling up all their stuff, and we was going to buy a set of cutlery, and then we still use it today.
They do, yeah.
Anyway, that's right. But what was great was they'd taken the top of the road, the moor, off, right? And you could see the cobbles and the tram tracks.
Oh, wow.
And
So
you know how much I like buses.
That's amazing.
I haven't travelled on one for ages, but when I just loved buses when I was a kid. Oh, no. I remember going down the boating lake, and Joshua was a baby, you weren't born, right?
I hope not.
And there was loads of old fire engines and loads of old buses from Sheffield and from Grimsby and from the surrounding areas, even a couple from Leicester. Oh, we got...
Yeah, if I just have you on mic a second, if you can hear that just outside the back of the commentary box, if I'll give that back to you.
It sounds like a red and white.
Yeah, we've got an airplane just above us.
The Air Sea Rescue aren't yellow now, and we're not far from the airport where they're based. And that really sounded like a Sikorsky, didn't it? And
it's that hot in the
they've got
box.
those. Yeah, we've got the door open, so things. Yeah, I love planes and all. We once stood at the airport on it.
We'll get onto the rear brake ducts in a minute.
Right, we once stood in the car park of the local airport on a day when there was an air show, right? And Concorde took off. And you got sprayed with all the stuff out of the everybody all around got sprayed. It was a very dirty aircraft, right? Yeah. But there's all this wet stuff coming out the exhaust, spraying everybody.
It wasn't fuel.
No, it wasn't fuel. It was just. It's like in a car. I mean, a car. It develops into water, doesn't it, and things like that.
So it's water vapor.
Yeah, we talked about.
Did it rain the next day?
Did it rain the next day? I don't know. Am I a weather forecaster here on WKML?
When water vapor is released into the atmosphere, it goes and makes into clouds, and when it builds up too much pressure in the clouds, that's why it rains.
I love it when you do that. I love
technical
geography.
Aspect there from Megan.
Yeah, and you've got a friend who's with things. Right, get back to these stupid
regulations.
Please not say I could be a meteorologist.
Yeah, well, you could.
Morning, Abby.
Abby did, didn't she?
Yeah, I know that Abby's, I think, on a week off. So, morning, Abby. Just getting back to this then, the rear brake duct analysis. Are you ready for this? This is going to be something. The FAA state that the position is different in relation to the RB20's rear brake duct.
As I said earlier.
Yeah. 2 seconds. Although Racing Point received the CAD models for the Mercedes W10 rear brake ducts at the same time as the front, it chose not to use them based on the Mercedes models in the RP19, possibly because the aerodynamic rake of the RP19 was much higher than the W10. So the aerodynamics were very different. Instead, it used a considerably different design on the RP19. Can I just say,
this is my opinion, right? This is my opinion. That the reason that there was a problem last weekend with the Racing point that actually got of Lance Stroll, right, was nothing to do with the fact that they had to change those air ducts.
No.
For that race, right? Nothing at all to do with it. It was another problem, right? The air ducts do make a difference. But they don't give you any real advance in the time that is set that much, does it? It's about tenth
of a second, yeah.
Tenth of a second at the moment, and everybody can lose that with having a bit of tire deflation or something.
Ask Lewis Hamilton. Ask Valtteri Bottas.
Right? Are we actually telling them anything that we've seen on here?
Nothing's happening on the track. This is a very
well. There's quite a few out.
Quite a few are out on the track, but
in fact, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's about 12 or 13 cars out on that track.
The issue is at the moment, as Bottas runs very wide at the exit of Stowe Corner, is the fact that the teams are only doing limited runs because they got the data from last week's race. So they don't need to use as many as the practice sessions.
Yet again, Bottas has been sent out into traffic, whereas Lewis has been able to.
127.
Lewis's engineer has said, no, let's wait for a gap.
127.4 is his time. Hamilton is out on the track.
Now.
14 out on the track.
I think Sunstroke is getting to Danny Ricciardo because Danny is acting like he's on holiday. Professional, but on holiday. I love the things Danny gets up to.
We're in Britain. It's a heat wave. And we're sending these guys out on the softer rubber on a track where we had punctures last week. It's a recipe for disaster. We'll get on to that in a minute.
We are changing the tyres.
Yes, we'll get on to that later on. Oh, speaking of which, Alexander Albon going very slow. I thought he had something wrong with the car, and I think he does. Hang on.
I don't.
This is not being broadcast, but yeah, okay. That wasn't on the broadcast, but it was able to be heard in our commentary ears.
So why don't we do that during the race?
Because it doesn't always work. We just heard that Albon is struggling with the tyres and he's struggling with the temperature.
To do for work first time.
Just a second. Yeah, so Albon's struggling with the car there and he's struggling with the temperatures because they keep rocketing up and down.
He gets there in the end, though.
Okay, we will get back to the Racing Point situation with the rear brake ducts as well. And we continue with the fact that when Racing Point came in the last quarter of 2019 to develop this year's car, it decided to replicate the rear of the Mercedes W10 as well as most other aspects of the car.
I just saw something interesting.
Go on.
That do you know they put the nut in the wheel?
Yes.
That looked like a different nut for Racing Point, not Racing Point, a Red Bull.
Okay.
Right? Have they redesigned it?
They could have done.
Yeah.
I believe they have. I think I'll have a look in between the sessions and report back. So yeah, because Racing Point decided to use the CAD models of the rear brake ducts of the Mercedes, it also did its
Vettel's time's been deleted.
Track limits at Cops Corner. Yeah, because Racing Point decided to use the model from last year's Mercedes, they did their best to copy the aerodynamic aspect as well of the car, including all the others of the listed parts. And here's the interesting bit, and it's underlined from race control and race direction, everything as well, from the stewards. If Racing Point had asked the FIA at the time, which was September to November last year, if it could use the CAD models of the Mercedes W10's rear brake ducts as the basis for the Racing Point 20's rear brake ducts, the FIA would have said, definitely not. Because in contrast to the position of the front brake ducts, Racing Point were not refining a component that had already been incorporated into the DNA of the car from 2019. Instead, it was introducing a completely new concept for 2020, which it knew was classified as a listed part under the sporting regulations. Because that means, as it was issued on Megan's birthday, 2019, the 30th of April, that means they're banter rights there because they knew it was a listed part when they went forward. The front brake duct was a yes, but do you remember that Racing Point said that they consulted the stewards on every step of the way and they said it was legal? Yeah, the front brake ducts, not the rear brake ducts. And that's what they've been caught out on here. Thoughts?
I still don't. I'd like to read it all through.
Yeah, 14 pages.
Because I don't think, from what everybody else is saying, it's not the rear, it's the front.
Yeah, so it's weird that they found out the rear brake ducts as well. There was something here as well. The final bit from the stewards on a fair reading of the sporting I'll start again, shall I? On the fair reading of the sporting regulations properly interpreted in line with their underlying purpose, that means that the Racing Point 20's rear brake designs were designed in large part by Mercedes, not Racing Point. That is the difference. Because you remember that rule was brought in to stop Red Bull and Toro Rosso having the same car. They're separate teams. They had to design their own. In that instance, Mercedes designed the Racing Point, not Racing Point. It is a copy, and they even say in the regulations here.
Can I say that Renault, right? Renault are doing this, right?
They're right. They've cheated. Racing Point have clearly cheated here.
If Renault want to beat Racing Point, right? Why don't they do it on the track? Right? Why do they have to do it like this? Because this is just, as I said before,
it's messy.
It's messy. It's not what the fans of Formula One are interested in. We're spending too much time on it as well.
30, 40 minutes because it's a big thing to get done.
It's a big thing, but it's to the fans of Formula One, it's quite an irrelevance, isn't it? What they all get on with. They want to see racing.
Yeah.
They want to see big, powerful cars with lovely designs, right? And they like it when who was it? Whose engine covers used to come off a lot?
Toro Rosso,
right? Because the fans loved that because they got to see the insides of the stuff in detail, the engine compound in detail, right? Everybody, Megan, since a young age, don't matter whether it's bikes, cars, bulldozers, right? You just love motors, don't you?
Yeah.
You just love motorsport, and you love.
When I was 5,
do you remember the buses, the London buses?
In the car engine.
Okay.
Yeah, she used it every time I lifted the bonnet of the car, right, to do something. There she was, wanting to know what that was, what it did, and that's because she's a motorhead. Right,
And
she
I'm
loves
very
bike.
inquisitive.
Her mum loves MotoGP more. Oh, we have a crash.
No, that's a
it's a
replay.
replay.
So that's
No,
last
right. Her mum loves MotoGP more than she does Formula One. Right. MotoGP comes on, and she loves it because it's that bike where you can see the engine, right, and you can actually see the rider doing all the things themselves.
Do you remember when we saw Alonso's car?
2012,
The story of these two in Alonso's car, they went to the Saab dealer, which was then a Renault dealer in the town.
It's gone now.
It's gone, yeah. Apparently it's gone. But they got there early, and they were allowed in, and they were allowed to touch the car and ask questions to the Renault engineer and things like that.
Did you go?
No, I couldn't.
I did.
I think you did.
Oh, she had the boss of the Saab dealership and the Renault engineer on the floor at the back, so she could tell them how she knew that this was a single diffuser and not a double diffuser. Right? She told them all sorts of things about. There was a little round plastic thing on the bulkhead on the top, and she asked, "Why is that there?" She asked, "Is that where you pull that off and press the button so that the clutch is disengaged?"
She was 7.
How old were you?
7.
I was 6.
6.
6, and she knows how to disengage a clutch on a Formula One car or even an F3.
We've taught her well.
Yeah,
I was basically raised by it from birth.
These two spent so much time.
We were raised by it from birth. I mean,
analysing the car,
analysing it, touching it, things like that. But before they let everyone else in, right, they had to get the Mr. Sheen or Pledge out,
to polish the car
and polish the car again because the little fingerprints all over it, wasn't there?
We were 6 and 12.
Yeah,
we were just looking at the
your
car.
Your mum was the same because. She'd gone to the.
We did go in that mini car.
She'd wandered off to the workshop and what's it called? A Twiggy.
The Twiggy,
the electric car, the two-seater electric car.
I remember thinking, how are you going to fit on shopping?
Yeah, but she loved that. Mind you, she drives
Renault now.
A Renault Megane.
If I open up the
a Renault
Megane.
A Renault Megane, and she drives a Renault Megane. And when they first came out. She was in a workshop when one of my cars, the Laguna, was being repaired because it had something wrong with one of the units. And she was off looking at these things, and she says, "Oh, I want one of them one day." It took her 10 years
to get
one.
I remember that, yeah.
She had all sorts of cars, using big bus-like cars.
She's had quite a few Renaults as well.
She's had 2 Espaces, hasn't she?
2 Espaces.
The big bus-like things. I mean, how tall is she, mate?
No one's out on the track, by the way. We are filling time.
4'11" and a half.
4'11" and a half, she says. And
it was quite funny watching.
And
the car was bigger than Mum. The car was bigger than Mum. That was how funny it was.
It's always been quite funny, but I just like a joke that I'm taller than you.
One of her early cars,
Okay.
when your sister was a baby, we needed a big car with boots, so we got an estate car.
Which sister? There's
A
two.
Cortina
there's-
estate car because we
There's
loved our
two girls
Cortinas.
in this family.
You.
2 girls and
Okay,
2
so-
boys.
The younger one.
And so we
Me.
needed something to put her big pram in, right? So we got this massive Cortina. The only thing she could have got bigger was for Granada estate. So she got this Cortina estate in orange, right? And it
It's
was
wonderful.
lovely. I can even remember him 160W was his registration number.
Well, if you look in the back of the commentary box in one of these drawers that behind us, we do actually have some of the registration plates.
Yeah, because I took them off.
Well, the car was.
When we put not then, but when we broke one, we had to put a new one on, and then every time we got rid of one, I would unscrew and put the broken one back on, and keep the other one for your bedroom or David's bedroom.
One of them. Well, as I keep saying, we
Or
should have,
Megan's.
I keep saying that
I don't have the one in
we have the commentary
No, but you
box.
could have had.
Just
We
quick.
only found them recently.
We've got the commentary box, and we have another little shed just alongside. And apparently, there's loads of ties in there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is, right at the back.
Yeah, because I would actually quite. If
There's
we got
only
them
8.
out- Yeah, well, if you get them out.
There's
you can
also
have them out,
there's
right?
also. Do you know Do you know when you press the button, the window goes up? It's a regulator. It's a piece of glass on a system called a regulator that goes right. Good voice and good noise. Anyway, there's one of them in there as well.
Yeah. There's loads of them.
There's your granddad sold these blue things that you jack a car up and you put under the wheel.
Yeah.
The stands.
Yeah.
The ones that you can actually drive up on. Right, which is difficult, so don't do that. What the best way is to just jack the car up, put it underneath and lower it.
Yeah.
Right, but and then you can roll it off afterwards. Right, there's a pair of them in there and normal jack stands.
They used to be here. Well,
Yeah, they used to be down there.
But then we converted the commentary box, the garage into the commentary box.
And there's your Uncle Stephen's old bike.
Yeah, he mentioned that when he looked in the shed the other week.
Good afternoon, by the way, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just wrap up the racing point because we've got other things to talk about. We had
When he was about
45
16, he
minutes
bought
away.
himself a racing bike. Yeah, but these things, we just kind of keep people interested.
It's like
Let's go back to the boring FIA thing.
Yeah,
and
we
so
were
can get it
feeling.
finished and go on to the.
Just to clarify, we are-
Pirelli Terriers.
We are filling time because nobody's going out on the track. As I did explain, they
No one's
have
out.
all their data. They don't need to go out.
That's a replay of Lewis being out.
Yeah.
No one's out right now.
No, everyone's in. We've got Hamilton, Bottas, top of the
Some great
time sheets.
interviews with Lewis this week.
Yeah.
You know, he's been more relaxed. Seb, I don't think went home, did he? Between the races, I
No.
think something like that. And we're going to get onto that.
I think he went swimming.
He went.
Where?
After the last race, he went home with Otmar to the petrol station and then on to his own home in Otmar's car.
We'll get back to that in a few minutes' time. Going forward, we'll just sum up the racing point thing quickly enough so we can get it over with.
Mind you, it was a special Ferrari one.
It was. Yeah. Okay, so basically, the stewards agreed that Mercedes and Racing Point on January the 6th, 2020, the transfer of the documents and the parts does not constitute a breach of the regulations. So Mercedes are free because there was a worry that they could have a penalty implied to them in terms of a very hefty fine. However, Racing Point, in their arguments, put forward the case that the design process is fully captured by beginnings with input data in hyphens, is in whatever form available, and then moving through an intellectual process that arrives at a set of drawings from which a part can be manufactured. After listening to a wide variety of inputs on this crucial topic, the stewards conclude that the design process has a wider base than the hypothesized Racing Point ideas, and that the source of the input data and the design work inherent in that data must be noted and captured in a question marks of who designed it, which is interesting.
A designer.
Now, they have completely fined them, and this is what they have found as well. The fact that they have breached several of the technical regulations. So the fact that they are guilty in the change in classification of the brake ducts from non-listed parts as well. The absence of specific guidance and clarification from the FIA in respect of how they can do it. So they're the leeway that they can fight the protests with as well. However, the penalty imposed for the Styrian Grand Prix is intended to penalise the potential advantage Racing Point may have occurred in the brake duct design going forward as well. And as well, so that means that basically they've been found guilty. As Dad said earlier on, they've lost 7.5 points per each driver as well. And going forward, it has lost them 15 points in total in the Constructors' Championship going forward. So that is it. They have gone with that. And I wanted to use that in one of the pre-shows, and I can't now because you two are messing around with the pen. So the stewards...
Why does what we were doing with the pen make
Just
it...
cut us out.
Because I can't cut you out there for a
Yes,
full
you
page.
can.
I can't. So going
Yes,
forward...
you
Redo it later.
Going forward... Stop it.
You have the technology.
Going forward, if I can round up my points so we can get on to something else finally, as well, is that Racing Point have been found guilty. They are going to protest the decision, but they have lost 15 points in the Constructors' Championship, and crucially, they are reprimanded for the next 2 races. So if either cars gets any form of penalty, they will be excluded from the next 2 races, similar to Honda in San Marino in 2005. So yeah, that's
subject to appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which certain things, it's rubbish.
Yeah, it's all rubbish.
It's all rubbish. And if you want to, what you can do is, right, you can actually put a picture of the racing duct over me and Meg, right?
No,
and then you find you have the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just block these 2 out. We're doing it for about 15 and 21 years. That'll be fine.
Am I 21?
No, I am. I'm just saying.
No,
How
you've been
long?
alive.
Yeah.
He's been alive 21 years since blocking.
I'd say
blocking
60.
me out.
Nearly
since I
60,
was-
come on. 59. Yeah, your big birthday next year, and apparently you're going to have a race on it as well.
Paris, we
Well
have.
done.
Also, why do people keep saying that I'm going to have a big 16th next year? Why?
Who's saying that?
Who's saying that?
Oh, well.
Oh, Day. Yeah,
David can
he
do whatever
loves
he
you.
likes.
He loves you, and you know he'd want you to
No, I
have a
want-
big 16.
I want.
Cake.
Is it a Sunday? Is it a Friday? Is it a Saturday? Is it a
You want
Sunday?
cake?
I don't know.
We'll try and get you cake.
I just want cake.
All right, well, I might be somewhere else. Okay,
Right,
so
look,
that's
no,
it.
Miss
yeah,
my
but
birthday.
40 minutes left of this session, and we've not actually talked about anything to do with the session.
It's taken 15 minutes to wrap up everything that happened
Oh,
there.
it was useless as
You ain't
well,
missing my
because it's Bottas is on a purple section in sector 1 and 2 here, chasing Hamilton's time of 1.26.
He's done it!
842, and there is 0.676 off Hamilton's time.
126,
Right.
166.
Do you think Valtteri is determined this weekend to reverse what happened last weekend?
Massively. No points scored last weekend at all with that late puncture. Hamilton managed to get 25 extra. The gap now 30 points in the championship.
I was thinking the
It's
fact that it's
screwed.
more to do with the way Max is coming up.
Max is only what, 7 points?
Yeah,
back?
because it's very unrealistic to it's realistic to say that the Bottas or Hamilton could win the race or Max, right? But it's usually Hamilton Bottas.
Okay, we'll go quickly through the classifications as Grosjean puts up to 5th. It's Bottas fastest, as we said earlier, on a 1:26, 1:66. Hamilton 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, Albon 4th, Grosjean 5th, followed by Hülkenberg in 6th, Vettel 7th, Stroll 8th, 9th for Norris and 10th for Sainz.
Lewis responding with a purple sector in sector 2. He's going for Bottas's time.
Is it going to be any quicker? He's on the soft compound tyre at the moment. We can finally get onto the session as the faster runs start to come in for the afternoon. The track temperature is best it will be for this first practice session. A little bit of wheel spin at the exit of Vale into Club. And no, he's lost it. A tenth of a second off the pace there.
Only a tenth, though. He'll regroup and
I think
try again.
That was cost by the wide aspect of
This is
last
only
two
practice 1, trying to find the limit. There is a difference, like the world was in Austria, in that this is the second race. Now, the second race in Austria ended up completely different to the first one because of the fact that they'd learnt things about the track and what they could do on the track. So when it came to practice, they could try other things out.
We lost practice 2.
I personally think that the second race in Austria was better than the first.
Because it was a lot of midfield battles compared to the front field
Why
battles.
haven't we got anybody? No, there's nobody on the live chat. Nobody's listening to us now.
Oh, we are. But
Yes.
It's all that regulation stuff.
Yes, I am.
do get in touch. Hashtag JB Motorsports. The live chat as well. We're all ready to set up.
Just no
We've
one
been out for
wants to
54
say
minutes. Yeah, we've been out for 54 minutes. Well, there's nothing to say.
I
We
would
just covered it all.
like to complain.
Go on.
I would like to complain that there are 4 cars on the grid that have copied the matte paint system that was perfected by Red Bull.
Raikkonen was very wide there coming through Chapel and got onto the old part of the dust before that new curb got put in. And he's lost quite a bit of it.
I would also like to point out that the halo is copied on all the different cars. Every single car seems to have the halo. Yeah, and so should the brake ducts. It was boring. It's a brake duct. I mean, go get outside to your cars, right?
And have a look.
Have a look. The things that cause your brakes are the same on all the cars virtually. Very little difference.
Just going forward.
So we're having to go about airflow next.
History of most fastest laps at Silverstone. Mansell's got 6, Raikkonen 4, Hamilton 4, Ascari 3, and Damon Hill's got 3 actually.
Have we actually seen a racing point on the track today?
I think we have at some point, yeah. I think, where are they? Stroll's 8th. Hülkenberg is in 6th place. So Hülkenberg's quicker at the moment.
Lewis is going for a record.
Sorry, Raikkonen's got a problem. He's going very slow down the Wellington Straight, and I think he's cruising. He's pulled now. I think he's just getting out of the way of Grosjean.
He might have been just getting out of the way of the faster car.
Yeah, I think he's all right.
With the bad reputation.
Did he go wide at Stowe? Sorry, Cops Corner. Yes, he did.
Can we talk about that? Grosjean, head of the Drivers' Association, weaves in front of
several
other drivers under braking. He should know that rule.
Yeah, well, the rule was created for him because he kept doing that.
Yeah,
and Verstappen.
I saw the interview where he apologised and said, if I was doing something like that, I didn't mean to.
Be like Nick de Vries did yesterday in the Formula E race.
Yeah, and can I just say, right? Can we have the situation where if you're going to destroy a driver's happy moment of topping the chart and standing on the podium, right? Nice. Can we do this, right, before he stands on the podium, like happened in Mexico?
Yeah, and Magnussen has a deleted time track.
He's gone off at Pops and quite a big flat
If
spot.
you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Smollett won the F3 race last time out, last week. Right,
great race.
He was deemed to have weaved on the main straight in front of Beckman.
Yeah.
Right, and that is something that Lewis has been warned about in the past. So why not just warn the kid? Why destroy his moment? Right, it didn't affect the race. It didn't affect Beckman at all.
No, it's just an annoyance.
It's just the fact that they said. He was told in the regulations he couldn't do it.
And he's done it, but still.
You're allowed to weave twice, aren't you?
Yes.
And he weaved 3 times. And for that, the lad lost the race win.
You're allowed to move once to defend and once to return to your position. So 2 moves in total.
Yeah, but it wasn't affecting anybody else. It wasn't just after a safety car. So they were all bunched up. Right? They were all bunched up. It's called defending.
It's a question that the stewards are getting too involved in racing.
What I do disagree with is the fact that he can lose his position, right, and lose his winner's cup, right. But Grosjean,
he hasn't.
I think it was with Ricciardo.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
where Grosjean, as Ricciardo was trying to pass him, Grosjean did a dink to the left and dink to the right.
Yeah.
Right? As he was passing him. Right? Now that speed makes a reaction to Ricciardo. Ricciardo said that he was waiting for it anyway. He was waiting for something, so he didn't flinch. But there's a lot. Latifi, he's a rookie, right? There's a lot of young drivers on that grid that haven't got the experience of Ricciardo and Grosjean. And if Grosjean had done that to them, it could have caused the collision.
Well, yeah.
That's where the regulation should be done, not going down the straight after a safety car. I'm on a rant again. Down the straight after a safety car with 3 car lengths between the first position and the second position, Beckman, right? No way was Beckman affected.
Yeah.
And yet the lad lost a highlight of his career, right? A win in Formula 3. His first. It was daft and it was stupid, and I disagree with it, but that's my opinion.
I agree. I think I agree. Megan, your opinion?
Same.
Lovely. Okay, I think Vettel just went off the track. I think you were watching the pictures.
Has Vettel been on the track this week? This
Kind of tune out.
More times than he has done. He's got his Leclerc.
Why do you tune out?
Just 2 seconds.
Concentrate.
Should we move on to another topic of conversation?
Yeah.
A pretty crucial one.
Megan's hair. Megan's decided that her hair is 80s style.
I think it looks quite 80s.
It is 80s.
And as we've got a camera on her, well, they are. I think it looks lovely.
Yeah, new feature this year. And from now on, we have cameras when we do these sessions.
Yeah.
Going forward. Megan's not with us next weekend.
As long as we don't have to have a wash.
2 seconds. Megan's not with us next weekend. This is one of her 5 races she takes off. So she's busy working.
Megan, you can take races off. You never told me that.
You can't take races off.
You can't.
I could have taken 11 or 12 off.
You can't
I
take
have
races off.
education to think about. And yes, I'm saying education during summer holidays because I don't like to stop. It makes me feel.
So for next,
I've got 11 things wrong with me. I've got some major illnesses. I should be able to relax and just.
No.
Instead, it's me and you next week in food practice once commentary. Just us two. That'll be fun.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, Megan. She's working next weekend on her own university. On her own GCSE work. So yeah. So
I think you're making
Megan,
all this up.
Megan will be back at the Belgium Grand Prix. Where she'll do Belgium, Italy, and Tuscany. She'll take Russia off and then be back for Eiffel, Portugal, and the Tudor event in Imola.
And we've got. She's only about 3 weeks or 4 weeks. 4 weeks away from going back to school.
Yeah, and becoming a proper year 11.
Yeah.
If that happens, because I don't think you'll be going back exactly
4 weeks actually, because I go back on a Friday.
2 seconds.
You don't even need to buy new shoes.
Probably.
I do need.
I'll just say this: I do not see you going back when you think you're going back.
Luckily, you've only used the jacket half a year, so that'll be all right.
Yeah, though I had that a year before.
Nico Hülkenberg is having a little bit of trouble coming out of club, nearly hitting the car at Vale. Okay, let's move on to our second of the subjects. We've got 4 to get through.
I told you to keep it.
Can I just say, 3 of them are Racing Point? How weird's that?
Because they're the team at the moment. Because they are the team like Red Bull were when they suddenly got an increase in the positions on the grid.
Wonder how Perez is.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second, and that's actually what we're going to talk about.
I've been finding that out for you as well.
Okay, so Sergio Perez was quoted yesterday by the UK government and by the stewards that he could return to racing this weekend as his quarantine period had concluded, and he was free to leave his property of his hotel room, and he could only enter the paddock and race if he provided a negative test. He had that test. He's tested positive once again for coronavirus, and that means Nico Hülkenberg will be in this weekend.
Yeah, but doesn't Checo have a pro? I think he's his own place, isn't he?
Yes, his own flat.
He's his own flat, yeah, because like a lot of them who live in this area around Silverstone.
He has 2 properties, one in Mexico, one in Monaco.
Yeah, you have a little flat here so that you don't have to use hotel rooms all the time. You can relax more. Checo's there. Unfortunately for Checo, right? Yeah. He had another test this morning and still was positive. Yeah. Although he's got no symptoms.
Which is good, but it's bad that he's got the virus.
I don't know how he's managed to have no symptoms.
Still bad Gill in Formula E.
Isn't it? You understand this more than I do, mate. But isn't it? He's a carrier, not a.
Possibly. I mean, sometimes it can be a carrier, though you're not.
Is it harder to get rid of it once if you're a carrier and not showing any symptoms?
Yeah, I think when you're a carrier, it takes
because your immune system's not fighting it, is it?
No, it's.
He could actually miss the next Grand Prix as well. Where is the next Grand Prix?
Spain next weekend, and he will. You're right.
So if it's Spain next weekend, why are all the drivers suddenly talking about Imola?
Because it's
2-day events.
It's a new track to them all.
And they've only got 90 minutes of practice because it's a 2-day format.
Now, Seb admitted that he'd actually been there because I remember him going to see him.
Oh, 2 seconds. Talking to Sebastian, Max Verstappen is going around the track, getting off the line and compromises Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Lets Leclerc go through and Vettel goes there. Verstappen on the radio, mate, can you tell me, please, when there's another car? I didn't see that Ferrari. Leclerc was on a slow lap. I'm surprised he was travelling so quickly. Well, yeah, okay, so it was Leclerc, not Vettel. Interesting. On my screen, it shows it was Vettel. Interesting. Back to what you were saying.
Can't remember.
I love that.
Imola.
Verstappen's just
Imola,
like,
yeah.
I didn't see that Ferrari coming.
It's big and red. There was one interesting thing about the Daniel Kvyat. Daniel.
Daniel Kvyat, yeah. Megan can say it right. She's
Daniel
taught me.
Kvyat.
Daniel. Anyway, Daniel Kvyat, he's never had what happened to him happen before. Albon wasn't actually to blame at all. It was a situation where when he braked, his rear right-hand side tyre deflated.
I thought you were talking about Imola.
I was, but then you talked about other things, so I went, yeah, the right-hand tyre deflated.
Okay, are we talking about the crash?
That's what caused the crash. Yeah. It wasn't to do with... He was having a gearbox problem at the time, and he was actually trying, as he approached that corner, and actually at the corner, right, he had no idea that Albon was anywhere near him because he had his head down and was changing things on his steering wheel at the time. So it was all a big shock to him. Sure, it was a big shock to Albon, but luckily Albon survived, because basically that means that
Magnussen. I've just realised you're talking about the wrong drivers.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the wrong crash, am I?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's Magnussen versus
it's
Ocon.
still what I said. He's absolutely true from Danielle.
Yeah.
Daniel. But
I'm going to stop.
What?
No,
let's just try things out.
It's Magnussen's accident.
Who was Magnussen's crash
Albon.
With what? That's what I said. Albon.
Yeah, you said it was Daniel.
No, Daniel Kvyat's crash.
That was his own crash when he lost it at Beckett's.
Yeah, but the fact is that he still had his head down approaching a corner. And he's not the only one.
Was he looking at the wheel by any chance?
He was looking at the display as he changed things.
Yeah, so he was changing things.
So forgive him for looking at the wheel so he couldn't crash.
But the suspension failed as well. That caused the puncture. That caused
the puncher failed due to a suspension failure. But his actual problem was a gearbox.
Mm.
And
as for Albon, let's go on to Albon quickly before we move back to what you were talking about. Right, Albon's crash with Magnussen.
Yeah.
Right, was a similar thing. Albon had his head down, he said, as he approached the corner. And there was another one where we had an incident with the McLaren. I think it was Lando. And Lando, it was a close one, and it didn't things. And Lando said that he too was looking down. Now, can't we have a display that is at eye level? Right, rather than on the thing, because
Williams is probably eye level one.
If you were driving your car and you look down to change your radio station, right, and you crash,
you're only allowed to
it's your
stay
fault.
Away for 3 seconds, then you've got to turn your eyes back on the road.
It was a very topsy-turvy
kill
race.
Everyone in 3 seconds.
It was a very topsy-turvy race last week.
Right, let's go back. Let's go back then, Meg. What were we talking about?
Well, you were talking about Imola.
Imola, yeah.
Seb's
been there because he went to see the MotoGP racing, didn't he? Right, but very few of them have actually been there. Some of them in junior formulas have been there, haven't they? Right.
Hamilton's the only driver,
and isn't Imola the one where you're only going to have Saturday morning practice and then qualifying?
Yeah.
So they're testing it out because that is one of the ways of reducing costs.
Yep, 90-minute practice session on the Saturday morning, followed by qualifying 2 hours later, then the race on Sunday. Only 3 sessions, so we skip out Friday. And a lot of the drivers saying that that's not the right way to go, because instead of 4 hours of running, we're now only going to have 90 minutes. At least make it a 2-hour session to give us some running, because they haven't been there in years. I think it's the wrong idea. I would have said a 2-hour session would have been.
Yeah, if you're going to test something like that out. I'm uncomfortable, by the way.
Sorry.
Kidneys 18 months.
Yeah,
back's 18.
My ankle's uncomfortable.
23 minutes to go. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. If you're going to test something like that out, why test it out where they've actually got to learn the track? Why not test it out
here? This should be here.
Yeah.
Back-to-back event.
And then we won't be here, would we, Meg? We'll be out doing something we wanted to do, like
feel sorry for us.
watching Star Wars or Big Bang Theory or something.
It's going to be a very competitive race. Going forward, though, we'll talk about one other thing. We've talked about the punctures that happened last weekend as well. They were front left examinations as well. And
I haven't given my opinion on any of them, have I?
Yes.
I won't be surprised if you did.
You have. Going forward, just quickly, I want to talk about one thing. The fact is that we touched on at the beginning of the broadcast before we went live on YouTube. The fact is that they're now a step down of compounds. So last weekend we had the C1 tyre, and we knew that failed. This weekend the hardest is the C2 and the C3. We had them last weekend.
Yeah, well, that's the obvious thing.
But we've now got a C4 tyre compound.
Yeah, but the obvious thing to do was
explosive?
That was C5, to be fair.
Oh, baby, it was horrible.
If C4's tyres explodes, then we're there.
I've seen some horrific sights of things that happened in Beirut.
The 4-day-old baby.
4-day-old baby getting hurt. There was the
Way to liven up the group chat.
Did you see the lovely bride in the lovely dress?
No.
And it goes behind her. Luckily, she was not affected by it, but lots of people were. And there was one where if there's a big fire in your town, right, you're going to watch, and then the explosion. Oh, it's awful. Anyway, get back to the Formula One.
Yeah, we've just lost our pictures, but right now we've only got 6 cars on track.
I'm looking to see if there's any notes under the door from you.
No, nothing this time. We got caught out last time we were on commentary.
Yeah, we didn't know where she was.
We left her back in. There was nothing there. Right.
We used the tracker on her phone, but then again, that's because we're paranoid.
No, well, it's the family tracker. We've all got it.
Yeah.
I haven't.
No, you haven't. There's a reason why you've got a phone. I was going to say.
You do.
I have 3 phones.
None of them bloody
work.
Right, okay.
Well, they do work.
Going forward, so they've got the C4 tyre compound this weekend as well. That's now a step softer. That could be something to watch because they've increased the pressures on the tyres by 2.
Yeah, but it's all to do with what happened last weekend. And another one of my opinions. Why don't you tell them what happened last weekend about the fact that...
Well, I'm not in your brain. I don't know what you're going to say.
About the fact that the safety car came out and they all pitted on lap, 7?
Yeah. And
right.
Lap 13.
Lap 13.
Lap 13
yeah.
and
they had to go so long on the sticks.
Instead of up to lap 24.
I was correct with lap 37 for Grosjean.
They said that they would last 40. Pirelli said they'd last 40 laps.
They didn't. They lasted 38.
And yeah, with explosions.
You know, they put them to the extreme. There's a lot of downforce on this track. It's a speedy track, and it puts a lot of pressure on the left front tyre. And 5 left front tyres and 1 rear tyre?
All blue, yeah. And we now know that Kvyat's was related to a gearbox failure, as you know.
And as I said, that a lot of the teams blamed on the downforce being so high and hitting shards of the front wing of the Alpha of Raikkonen and causing punctures. Because by the time that part of the race came, as Paul de Resta, I think it was, pointed out, Paul was saying that by that time of the race, in a heavy downforce race like that, the top compound has gone, and you're onto the second compound, which is just before the belt of the tyre.
Yeah.
And so that's very thin, and so any bit of protruding sharp carbon fibre,
which is razor,
penetrate it to the belt, and then once it's hit the belt, that's it, gone.
So a big incident that happened with Kvyat. They've installed a new tyre barrier down at the exit of Maggots and Beckett's so that if it happens again, there is at least some protection because he hit the side and hit the carbon fibre, the monocoque of the banner as well. So it was horrible accident as well. Megan, I want to get your thoughts as well on this weekend with this step down of compounds. You're our strategist in the commentary box. What is that going to give a 2-stop race or a 3-stop race? A 1-stop race. Sorry.
I said before that I actually think it may be a 3-stop race for some drivers who are also obviously a 2-stop. And
hopefully our camera's working.
I think it is.
If it does, then it's just be
I
radio.
think it is. Well, we can see it, and it says YouTube there.
Well, if you can't see it, then
1
it'll just
hour,
be
13
radio.
minutes and 50 seconds into the broadcast.
We've got 18 minutes to go of the session, so a few more drivers coming on the track. Megan, 2-stop or 1-stop?
I actually think for some drivers, because of the pressure this weekend, it will be a 3-stop for some drivers. Though some will be 2 stops, so I doubt we'll see many 1-stops this weekend.
Safety car could push it up to 3?
Yeah, most likely.
I agree.
And we've gone from good evening Australia to good morning Australia.
Good morning, everyone. If you're listening, we are very popular in Australia.
Go back to sleep.
No, listen to us.
Yeah, stay up, listen, enjoy
Listen
Formula
after
1.
you.
Even though Josh has given you all those regulations.
Yeah, someone comments it'll 2
I
stop.
can't see who that is, unfortunately. Dan only says it will be a 2-stop race. Yeah. This
No
is
one is
Yeah,
seeing.
though, because of
hopefully we are.
Dan, it
Yeah,
will.
because of the pressure this weekend,
to
some drivers
be a
will be
2-stop.
a 3-stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Dan.
Like at the most, so I think it will be a 2-stop for most.
Yeah. You agree?
So are
But-
people seeing us?
I think it was the fact that there was no commentary of the actual session to watch along. So you watch the telly and listen to us, basically.
Yeah, but we have that on the YouTube. You can put us on YouTube. But Dan, yeah, I agree with you. It is. That's why they've done the softer compound to make sure that the long 40-odd laps things
Doesn't
don't happen.
Yeah. 2-stop race.
And so we've got a situation where the second race is going to be different, like it was in Austria.
Let's hope they learn their lesson from last week.
Well, Pirelli haven't learned
Hopefully.
their lesson from 6 years ago, have they? So.
No. Oh, God, more tyre failures at Silverstone. It was like a flashback memory. I did not enjoy that one. as
3
well.
wheels. Not allowed to sing that.
3 wheels on the wagon. I said it in the commentary live. We did broadcast last weekend completely live, so all the
When
sessions.
you think about it, what could if Lewis can win a race with 3 wheels, right? What's he going to do now? He's got 4.
We did broadcast the whole weekend last week live on YouTube, so every session was live. So go back and have a watch as well.
I do. With the pink Mercedes on the track, is it Stroll or Hulke?
I think it's Hulkenberg. I think Stroll's in the pit. Yeah, it's Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's in the pit lane. No, sorry, it's Stroll's in the pit lane. It's Hulkenberg on the track.
Yeah, I love the little bomb-like thing on which is an infrared camera, which is watching that front left tire.
Just keep an eye on it because we've had so many problems with it going forward. Hamilton must have been crossing.
Do you want to say something?
Hamilton must have been crossing his leg all the time, crossing his toes, crossing his fingers, everything he could to make sure he got round from basically where he was at Brooklands all the way back to the start line. So that was a long lap. About, what was it, 75% of the lap he had to complete.
I don't think
In a
Lewis said
bunch
I don't think he'd ever had a situation like it.
Yes.
You know, Max was right in what he said. People said, "Oh, you lost the race because you pitted," but he had no idea that his tyre wouldn't go as well.
They safety pitted him.
They
had
safety
to, yeah.
pitted him because of what had happened to Valtteri.
I reckon it would have gone.
It was
He
on its
said-
way. Pirelli said it was 2 laps away, and that would have been the last lap.
Yeah, and Max said himself that he went to see it and he said it wasn't in good shape.
He would have been in the same position as Hamilton.
Yeah, and that would have been Leclerc. He would have got 2nd place already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Dan's response to the race will start on soft tyres, and the first stop will be medium. Second stop also medium. Yeah. But the problem with that is that they've only got 2 compounds of the mediums. From what I think of the regulation.
So they
Maybe
really
4. They might have 4.
I agree because it's the most sensible option to go for, and after last weekend's mistake, you're gonna have to go for that.
I think you're right, Dan. Everyone's going to start on the soft.
For the sake of Formula One, you can't have it happening again this weekend.
No.
Let's have another drama because you can't have the same drama in 2 races running. Otherwise, it looks unprofessional. So,
Yeah. It will be a 2-stop race. They're not
we
gonna do that
need
this time.
a good, exciting. Before that happened, it hadn't been an exciting. I thought it was the fact that there was no crowd there. It wasn't lifting them.
Yeah.
But because, as we just said, that half the drivers actually have work locally in the factories, and so have like a special track to nearly all of them.
Yeah. Everyone, I think, has a flat here. So everyone as well gives it something. The British crowd, the best in the world, because they really are. They accept every single driver on the field, and we don't get any sort of split views. Everyone knows and respects that a driver is one of the best there. And they do give the British drivers a second per lap. Manson was completely right. It's
Not only the British, the Australians as well. And
the Australians are none other. I must admit, the British fans are the best for the atmosphere. Australia absolutely go mad when Formula One's in town. They are just insane. It's party after party. It's the atmosphere. It's the build of the season. There's left and right celebrations. The whole of Melbourne erupts.
Yeah, I think you'll find that if you're young and Australian, the party. What are we partying about today? I don't know.
It's another one. It's the Grand Prix.
I
missed that we never got Australia.
Look at that. It's an emu. Let's party.
I do miss Australia. I miss that we never got an Australian Grand Prix.
You have the Australian Grand Prix T-shirt.
Yes, I do. Yeah, it's the thing of that from 2014.
2014.
Yeah, that was brought back from this year's race.
Yeah, we
didn't go.
We had everything ready. We even had Kellyanne out there, and because she'd been on holiday there, and they went to the track a couple of times, didn't they, on the days before?
Then it got cancelled.
Then it got cancelled, and then we blamed her, and she said, "How can you blame me?" And he said, "No, we're not."
A little bit of gravel we're missing from the last corner.
We was just joking. And,
well, as well.
If you're listening, Kellyanne, as you're working from home in Nottingham.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Kellyanne.
Annoying me as well. The fact is that she was still there on the Friday practice, and her hotel is right opposite where the track was. So I was going to have her as pit lane reporter for that one. And
Abdul Dan. And this weekend will be.
Yeah.
It will be.
Massive strategy.
It's like I hope it creates, Dan, like a very exciting race, because that's what we need. I mean, we love Formula One, and we love to see an exciting race, right? And what was it, Austria, where the midfield battle was the best?
Styria, the second round,
the second one.
I always prefer the midfield and back.
But it's a question that we need some front action, because Bottas fell off the last week, even before the tyre fell.
Max is nearly ready to give them that.
The question is, we're running out of rounds. This is the 5th round of the championship, and
that was because it's shortened, isn't it? Because coronavirus.
It's 13 out of a predicted. It's 5 out of a predicted 18. We're running out of time.
Andrea Seidel is on the pit wall at the moment on the TV, talking live. Now, Andreas has been so brilliant in bringing McLaren forward since he's been there.
5th place for Norris last weekend as well, backed after a tricky race in Hungary.
The resurgence of is down to a lot of people, but I think it's the leadership of Andrea Seidel that has actually made the difference there at McLaren, along with a little look from things like Honda leaving.
Honda leaving the team.
Then again, Red Bull,
fired.
Honda were just getting it right, weren't they? And they've done well with Red Bull. I mean, Red Bull challenging the Mercedes in a Honda engine.
I think you're right. Verstappen is very close to making a fight with the Mercedes, but it's the fact that Albon isn't ready yet. There's a lot of work still to be done there. He's not qualifying in Q2.
I will say
so.
That,
in terms of the constructors, it's only Verstappen, and that's going to hurt.
I will say that they just rewarded Valtteri with another 2-year contract, because his technical ability is helped to push the Mercedes forward, so that there is a gap between Mercedes and things. I mean, Lewis is a genius, right? Having him and Valtteri in the same team, right? He pushes Valtteri. Max is pushed to try and get to Valtteri, right? I think people don't appreciate the job Valtteri's doing.
Valtteri does an amazingly good job, and he's just signed on for another year, angering George Russell.
I thought it was 2 years.
No, it's just 1 year extension.
He likes 1 year contracts, doesn't he?
I think Ferrari will leave in midfield, and I think that too. They've been quite a midfield team recently, especially with Vettel constantly going in the pit lane.
The question is, where do you split the midfield?
So, I would put Mercedes up top with Red Bull, and then Racing Point, and then Renault. I think Renault is the start of the midfield. I think Racing Point, if they carry on like this, right, they are going to be challenging Red Bull, which is great for the sport. That's what we need, because as we just said, the Renaults are quite close to the Racing Points. The Racing Points are quite close to the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls are quite close to the Mercedes, right? That's what we need.
Throw McLaren.
I want to see a funny thing where they all race in the same car.
I must say, you can easily tell who the back markers, unfortunately, which is the Alfa Romeos, Williams as well, Haas.
they do generally, the 90% of the cars in Formula 2 and Formula 3 are the same car. And you do see the driving aspect come out more in that. But I'll tell you why I disagree with you, Megan. Right? I'll tell you why I disagree with you on that. It's because innovation and sheer the skill is not only with the driver in Formula 1. It never has been. It's always been about the development of the cars as well. The best drivers generally get brought into the teams that are doing well. You've got to have both aspects. There is an aspect in Formula 2 and Formula 3 where a number of the teams are just there and doing nothing to enhance the sport other than being there.
It's a question, isn't it? The fact that how many of the teams in Formula 1 actually are Formula 1 teams?
And Megan, you're very good at business and things like that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you've got the situation where you put all the regulations similar and all the cars are similar, then there's no development, right? Now, a lot of the things that happen in Formula 1 end up because of the number of factory teams that you've got.
Oh, road car.
Right, on the road cars. Now, would the likes of Mercedes, Audi, Ferrari, if they're not developing, it's an offshoot that the developments they make in their Formula 1 cars, look at Formula E, right? Formula E started, it was a few new teams taking on two factories.
Factories, yeah.
Now virtually every major marquee of car makers are in Formula E.
Porsche, Mercedes, Nissan,
Aston.
BMW, Aston are coming in as well, yeah. Robert Kubica. We haven't talked about much in this session, sorry. Kubica is actually in this session. We'll talk about it finally.
I think what Megan was trying to say is that if you even the cars up, isn't it, mate? Right? If you even the cars up, then you're getting better racing.
Yeah, and it's not all just the same people, because to be honest, that's boring as hell and no one wants to see it.
Megan, just
spoken as a young person.
Racing Point is...
Oh, you can say that a bit quicker. Racing Point is to swallow on the long line, and then they are fast on the short one. Yeah, they do. Racing Point are quicker on the
long races.
They're slower on the long runs, aren't they?
That Stroll proves that theory.
Yeah, I feel that could be not the car but the drivers.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it this weekend. We never got to see it last weekend with Hülkenberg, did he? Because he never took the start. I think Hülkenberg might just get that car into a podium position.
I mean, Lance is a very talented driver, and Hulk is a very fast driver, and Checo is a really good fast driver. But they're not geniuses like the likes of... I mean, Albon's struggling, like everyone's saying. But then again, he's against the genius.
I hate to say it.
Right? One of the best drivers in the sport, if not in... the best, if not the best young driver. I'm thinking really,
Lando's quite good.
Lando's good, and so is
George. Is that good?
No, I mean Leclerc.
Yeah,
a good. But I reckon Max is the best young driver with natural talent to come into this sport in a long time, and Leclerc is just behind him. Leclerc's still got a lot to learn, it's scary, isn't it? The fact that Leclerc in a bad Ferrari and Lando Norris in a reasonably good McLaren can get so close to these geniuses in the top cars.
Just taking off a soft tyre on the back of Lando Norris's cars coming to the pit lane, and the rear right and the rear left soft compound tyre is shredded down the middle and on the left-hand side. So that is not looking good for the softs, and they've only done... How many laps have they done? I'm looking at the timing obviously now in front of me. 5 laps. Oh dear. That's not good at all. They're shredded after 5 laps. Yeah.
Does anyone know why?
Tyres.
I've always wondered it, right? And then these things like that. Why does Angela always have Angie? Why does Lewis's Angie, right, always has a cloth in her belt? I know why she's got the other stuff, but
in case she needs to sneeze.
Handkerchief.
No, it's not. It doesn't look. It looks like something that she needs to wipe the car with, or or the visor with. But you know, I never understand why Angie has that thing, but she's always got it. I've never seen her without it. Have you?
I never have. No. Esteban Ocon on a replay, just coming down the Wellington straight towards Brooklands. Has he had a little lock-up moment turning in? Always.
Oversteer.
AlphaTauri will also, as fast as we see at the previous week. Yeah, they were very quick last week. I think we're going to see a lot of pace from AlphaTauri this week.
Yeah,
because they ran better in Styria rather than Austria. So the second race they go well at.
They've got the benefit of two drivers that know their place. They don't.
It was a Gasly and Kvyat.
Kvyat, yeah.
Both rejects
of Red Bull,
yeah.
And are more relaxed and more positive and more professional. I mean, I've never been a fan of Daniel's family. On
the PKs.
Wives, the PKs, right? Because I think the dad was he didn't need to do the things he did.
Nelson PK versus...
Nelson did not... If you want to look up...
PK versus Mansell.
Mansell, yeah. Nigel still isn't happy with him.
Gasly on the radio, I can see the rear left, there's no rubber left. Yeah, look at this!
Oh my!
More soft tyres, and Gasly's tyres absolutely shredded on the rear right.
Gasly has been on those for how long?
Gasly is...
Do you think it's a test?
Gasly's 11th, so...
He's been on the 7.
7 laps. So after 7 laps, these soft tyres are done.
Oh, only 7 laps. That is not enough, is it?
No, and they are completely shredded. So again...
What have you been doing to them?
I don't think they're going to start on the softs. Saying this now, I don't think... For seeing this data, look at that. They've got punctures completely.
Jeez.
I don't think we're starting on the left.
Another 3 laps and those will be puncture city.
Today, McLaren are too slow. Yeah, where are they? Lando's 12th and... Science is 14th. Yeah,
they say they got for energy.
Yeah, they never come up. Thanks, Dan, for that. And hope you enjoyed the coverage.
Hopefully for us that are also McLaren fans, that it may be something to do with what their routine was for this.
Okay, I've just had
practice.
I'm just having a watch beep, and as well, I can see the fact that.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, a lot of. I'm sorry.
Got a lot of delamination on that.
Front right.
Front left.
Front left on this page, yeah, front right, forward. I'm just having a lot of confirmation via messages that the soft compound tyres are suffering for everyone. Everyone's having the same issue. The whole team radio is blurring, apparently. And I've just had that on me.
So who are Pirelli going to blame for this? Have you never noticed that Pirelli never take the blame for anything?
No, they never do. I've never seen it.
Always, they didn't follow our routine. The strategy that we pointed out.
They've upped the PSI from 25 to 28. And the front left is destroyed. And Bottas is only done. According to my computer, they're brand new.
That's got to be wrong. That's got to be wrong.
Hang on, I'm having a look on the tyre graphic. They're 4 laps old.
That's not enough.
This is embarrassing.
Although you do get a situation sometimes that it needs to delaminate on both tyres and then for them to come back. Otherwise, you've got an uneven
2 seconds. Rear left is destroyed. Yeah, signs on the soft compound tyre. Signs on the soft compound tyre. The red marked C4, the softest tyre available, a step softer than last week. Sainz has been on those tyres for 2 laps and they're destroyed. Get out of that one, Pirelli. You need to do something. And what can they do at this late stage? I think they're going to have to remove the soft tyre from the allocation this weekend.
They'd be horrible.
So drama at the end of a quiet first practice session, as it seems that Pirelli have got a issue more happening, was the fact that after just 3 laps, these soft compound tyre, the C4, a step softer than we had last week, seem to be failing after just 3 laps. The Red Bull there coming very close to Raikkonen on that. He was trying to give way, wasn't he? And and have we seen it from another angle? No, this is back live. Back live. Look at these soft tyres. Everyone's just put them on as well, and they're destroyed after 3 laps. I do also disagree with with punishment being given out in the practice sessions for things like that. That shouldn't happen. No. Practice sessions should be practice. Yeah, it's practice. It shouldn't be given out. You don't go
practicing at football and then get yellow cards for what you do in your training. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've got a fear, and for a proper first-time fear in quite a long time commentating on Formula One. I'm looking at those tyres. They've only done 3 laps compared to Bottas. The front left has got a massive delamination in the front side of that car, and all of the teams, all of the drivers complaining on the radios that these soft tyres are just not working. And they've got the most sets as well. They're going to have to use them. I'm worried. Where are Pirelli going to go with this?
I don't know, but we're worried as well because there's mozzies around, isn't there, mate?
Nuts. Yeah.
I thought it was a mozzie, didn't you, mate?
Megan, what do you think is going to happen? Hamilton's tyre's gone. Again.
Oh, my.
Again, Hamilton's tyre, the same point we had last week. It's not delaminated, but it's close and it's shredded. And the cars, the teams...
All on these soft reds.
Yeah, they're all nursing them back to the car very slowly as well to come in to do their practice starts. But honestly, these tyres are destroyed. They can't start the race on them, so they can't qualify in them. So they're going to have to qualify in the hards or mediums, but they haven't got many of them left. This is Michelin. 2005. I can feel it. This is Indianapolis 2005 all over again.
Why is every single year of my birth one so dramatic?
Yeah.
Do I just really curse this sport?
This feels like the 2005.
You came in and you controlled it.
This feels like the 2005 season again, where at Indianapolis, you all know, 6 cars took the start, all Michelins withdrew, and then of course Raikkonen in the Nürburgring having that tyre failure
What month was that?
after flat spotting. June.
Oh, so I was born.
Dan says that once again, the tyre will be destroyed on the formation lap. Yeah.
That's probably true.
And I'll say this. Do you remember we were praising Haas in Hungary with the brilliant strategy they had to come in and put on dry tyres? They can't do that anymore because the team are not allowed to say to the drivers, come in, change tyres on the formation lap anymore. I'm very worried, as I'm sure you all are, watching or listening to these pictures as well. The fact,
how do you listen to a picture?
I knew you were going to pick up on that. But just listening to our commentary as well, the front left tyres and the rear right tyres of these Pirellis, the soft marked C4 tyres, are struggling and seem to be the talking point this weekend. But it's Valtteri Bottas who ends the first practice session fastest, with teammate Lewis Hamilton in second and Max Verstappen in third. Nico Hülkenberg, yes, boy, 4th place. He's quick and he's getting used to that car going forward. Charles Leclerc 5th, Alexander Albon 6th, Sebastian Vettel 7th, Lance Stroll 8th, Danny Kvyat 9th, and Esteban Ocon rounds out the top 10. Dropping further down, Pierre Gasly is 11th, Lando Norris 12th, Romain Grosjean is 13th, Carlos Sainz 14th, George Russell 15th, Nicholas Latifi 16th, Danny Ricciardo 17th, Kimi Räikkönen 18th, Robert Kubica 19th, and Kevin Magnussen in 20th. Dad, sum up the session for us. What's your talking points going forward?
Well, the only talking point that you can really see that has been, other than the
Racing point
scandal type thing, is the fact that these tyres are not fit for purpose.
That's the problem.
If you'd bought one from the shop, you'd be taking it back, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Megan?
Rubbish tyres.
Yeah. Well, Formula One celebrates its 70th anniversary. Free Practice 2 gets underway at 14:55 UK time. We'll be back, though, not with Free Practice 2, with our Friday practice review at 5 o'clock. We're not live for the remainder of the weekend, but do join us for our review shows in the evening. 8 o'clock tonight is our Friday practice review. Tomorrow at 1:30 is our Saturday practice review, with our race show on Sunday at 1 o'clock and the race review at 8 o'clock with me and Dad as well. So
what?
Yeah, sorry. So going forward then.
No chance.
Good. It looks a bit dodgy. Formula One celebrates.
What, my veg soup that she's on me dinner?
Don't know.
How much?
2 seconds. Formula One celebrates its 70th anniversary, but it looks to repeat one of its darkest days. 2005's tyre dramas seem to be creeping back with Pirelli in 2020. Free Practice 2 later on. We'll get answers then. Join us tonight for our Friday practice review. From us all here, thank you very much for watching. It's bye for now.